Ever get this naggy feeling, like something bigger is trying to grab your attention, but you can't figure out what it is? Don't ignore it. Chances are it's your higher self nudging you towards a path that's more aligned with your true purpose. I've been there plenty of times, and sometimes it left me sketching my head like wondering what the hell was going on. In this video, I'm going to share 5 signs your higher self is reaching out to you so you can finally make sense of it and answer the call. Sign number 1, you feel restless or unfulfilled even when things look good. Back in my 20s, I had a stable accounting job, good pay, great environment, super close to home. I was doing well. My colleagues and manager were awesome, and I get along with everyone and they appreciated my effort and skills. But something just felt off. The job was kind of boring, same tasks every day, the same routine every month. And deep down inside, I knew I wanted more. So I decided to take a leap. I learned animation, even though it meant lower pay and moving to another country to work. But again, when I worked as an animator, something just felt off. I didn't know why, but I felt I needed to do something else. And after a few twists and turns, I eventually became a writer. I started a blog, wrote 7 books, and now a YouTube channel. I realized what I needed was the freedom to create and express myself and my insights. None of this would have happened if I hadn't listened to that little voice inside pushing me to do something more. Logically, it didn't make sense. Like, why leave a job when everything is so stable? Why leave my animation job when I have studied 2.5 years for it? But intuitively, it just felt right, and I knew I had to move on. When you feel restless or unfulfilled in your life, that's something to pay attention to. Whether is it your job, your relationship, or life suddenly feel off, even if they seem good on paper, is your higher self nudging you out of your comfort zone, calling you to your purpose. A lot of people mistake this for their life falling apart or an existential crisis, feeling like their life has no meaning anymore. But you see, you won't feel restless if your higher self wasn't there calling you to something more. You'll just go about your life trying to earn more money, maybe buy a car, or go after the next big achievement, thinking that you will reach a certain level and you will be happy. But the fact that you're feeling restless is because deep down, you know that you're being caught in a certain direction, but you're not going. You're resisting the flow. Your ego is asking you to maintain the status quo, but your higher self is showing you there's something more, something bigger waiting for you. And that's why there's this disparity. And that's why you feel kind of restless. If your higher self wasn't there trying to get your attention, there would be no contrast and there will be no sense of there's something more to life. So wherever you feel restless and unfulfilled in your life, you have to pay attention to the sign. It's your higher self calling you. Sign number 2, there's a persistent nudge. You know that feeling when your intuition keeps calling you to go somewhere and do something. And if you don't go, you feel a very nasty kind of feeling like it's a kind of gut feeling that you just can't shake off. Like recently, I went to drop off my recyclables. Most of the bin near me were full, so I checked the app and saw that there was one bin at Changi Airport that was available. This bin kept grabbing my attention multiple times previously. I felt this calling to go there, but it was in a very super elusive spot, an office link bridge between 2 terminals. I didn't feel confident about finding it, and I'm not going to waste my time searching for it, so I tried another bin instead. But when I got there to the other bin, the machine wasn't working. I couldn't even open the door to put my recyclable in. I definitely didn't want to drag all my recyclable back home, so my only option left was the one in Changi Airport. So reluctantly, I went for it. And guess what? I spent 2 hours searching for the bin. I looked everywhere and even checked online. It turns out that other people couldn't find it either. I was ready to give up, but something inside of me just keep pushing me to go to that door. I had this like persistent feeling, this nagging feeling that I just need to go through the staff canteen door. You see, at the start of the search, I was convinced that the recycling bin has to be near the staff canteen. But when I got there and reached the end of the canteen, I found an open door and I froze. I was thinking to myself, should I go through it? Will it be like trespassing? Like, what will other people think of me? So I hesitated and decided to search elsewhere. Then 2 hours later, I found that persistent nagging feeling didn't go away. It was still urging me to go through that door at the staff canteen. So I went back to the staff canteen and I pushed through the fear and walked through the door and I found an elevator. And somehow instinctively, I knew it was going to be level 3. And when I reached level 3, I just got this feeling that I'm in the right place. And as I follow my gut feeling going further and further, I felt myself getting closer and closer. I just knew it. And eventually, after all the searching, I reached that elusive recycling bin. If I haven't listened to that persistent nagging feeling I had, I would never have found it. You know, it's a message from your higher self when it's persistent. Your higher self will never give up on you. It will never stop calling you to your true purpose. If you kept getting the same message over and over again, or if you kept getting the same feeling over and over again, it's your higher self trying to grab your attention. The only issue here is, do we trust our intuition? Do we listen to it and follow it? Do we walk through that door despite our fear? Sign number 3, fatigue and aches. Sometimes your body knows what's up before you do. I experienced this firsthand. There was this one time I really didn't want to go to a meetup. My gut was screaming, don't go! But my mind was conditioned to worry about what other people might think or how to politely decline them. And I couldn't figure out how to say no. So I was stuck. Do I go or should I not go? I couldn't make a decision. And then my higher self decided to step in. The day of the meetup, I woke up with the worst cough and total exhaustion. There was no way I could leave the house. I was genuinely sick. My body has created a clear, no question asked barrier. It wasn't even a convenient excuse. It was a literal, nope, you're staying home, you're not going anywhere. Looking back, I realized my higher self was like, alright, if you're not going to decide, I'm going to make the decision for you. The one you actually want deep down, which is to stay at home. That illness was a clear physical manifestation of my soul's intention. My body was shouting at me because I haven't listened to the more quieter, subtle signs. It was like my higher self saying, if you don't pay attention to the gentle nudges, we'll use something louder to get your attention, to get you to honor your needs. And since then, I learned to tune into my body and to the early subtle signs. If you are feeling drained, unexplained aches in your body, or feeling heavy with no medical explanation, it might be your higher self telling you to slow down or switch direction. And you want to pay attention and listen to your body. Don't just push through the fatigue and the pain. Your body is rejecting anything that isn't aligned with your higher self. And if you just ignore the symptoms, you're just going in the opposite direction of where your soul wants it to take you. So instead, take a moment and pause and check in with yourself. What is your body trying to say? Is what you're doing really lining up with what you want and what you care about? Because your body will give you a lot of information that your mind might not get it. Sign number 4, you feel drawn to something new. It could be a new idea, a new environment, or resources. Sometimes your higher self brings you to the right people or tools to help you grow. I can't even tell you how many times when I feel stuck, only to stumble across exactly what I needed, like finding the perfect book at the library or having the right video pop up in my YouTube feed. For example, years ago, I was struggling to finish my sixth book about loneliness. I didn't know how to move forward. One day, I was meditating with an app, and I noticed a guy with a link to his weekly men's group. I decided to check it out, and guess what was the topic that night? Loneliness. I didn't initiate this topic, but somehow that's what we talk about. During the session, I also opened out my own experiences, and it felt so freeing to finally share my thoughts with others. I felt seen and connected. Then a couple of sessions later, the group organizer recommended me a book called 50 Shades of Love. As I started reading it, something clicked within me. Like I realized I needed to completely change my approach to my book, shifting from a more psychological focus to something more spiritual. Looking back, it didn't feel like a coincidence. It felt like my higher self has orchestrated everything from being stuck to discovering that group to discussing about loneliness and then being recommended the exact book I needed to take my work in the right direction. But here's another funny twist. Last year, a friend told me she had a dream. She dreamt that she had to write this book about loneliness, and it was blue in color. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, are you talking about this book? My book is about loneliness, it's blue. And the funny thing is, I just randomly moved it closer to me right before our Zoom call. It was supposed to be at the far corner of my room. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. Now I realize I've become the next step for someone else. Your higher self always know your next step. You're constantly being guided toward the right resources, people, and places. You just need to pay attention to the little cues around you. If you feel drawn to a certain video, a certain movie, or read a book, or explore something new, go for it. It might be exactly what you need right now. Sign number 5, recurring themes and synchronicities. Have you been noticing the same numbers, symbols, or even having similar conversation popping up over and over? And it may not be in your real life, it may be in your dreams. It's not just a coincidence. Your higher self is basically waving a big flag, trying to get your attention. For example, if you keep adding out in the same type of relationship, like attracting the same kind of people, maybe they are always emotionally unavailable, or they are always single parents, or they are heavy drinkers, it's a better worth paying attention to. Your higher self is saying, hey, if you keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same result. If you keep using A plus B, you'll always get C. So you need to shift what you're putting out there. You need to do something different to get a different result. Sometimes we may overthink these signs and forget their real purpose. Not every synchronicity needs a deep, profound meaning. Sometimes it's just for fun, and I get this a lot. Whenever I go out and take a break from my usual routine, I will randomly see repeating numbers like 111, 222, or 333. There was this funny one. A few months ago, I was in this singing program where we were assigned to sing David Bowie's Space Oddity. Later that month, I randomly decided to visit this hawker center that I haven't been to in ages. And you know what I saw? One of the stores was selling the pizza called Space Oddity. How odd is that? Like, who named their pizza Space Oddity? So it's a fun reminder, and it didn't need to be something profound. Like it doesn't need to have a deep meaning, right? It was just a little reminder from the universe that my higher self is always there for me. It's always there guiding me, and I actually kept a journal where I jot down all these fun synchronicities. When you start to pay attention to these subtle signs and be more lighthearted and be more open-minded and curious, you'll notice your higher self is actually very playful with you too. They are like dropping little breadcrumbs for you to follow. And you might start seeing number sequences everywhere on license plates, receipts, or clocks. Or maybe someone unexpectedly say exactly what you needed to hear at exactly the right moment. Or you are at the perfect place at the perfect time. These aren't just synchronicity. This is your higher self trying to grab your attention, to align with it, and to play with it, and to have fun. I share a lot about this synchronicity on my channel because they are such amazing reminder that our higher self is always trying to communicate with us. Here's a funny one about trusting your intuition.